Good afternoon, everyone. This is Frank Donaldson, and would like to welcome you to class number 7 of the 10 classes here in Understanding Catholic School Development Advancement, 25 Lessons Learned. Before we jump into the actual class today, I'd sent out an email yesterday with about a couple of things. Hopefully you had a chance to look it over. But one of the things that I got an answer on that I thought was really good information. Every class we seem to have 4 or 5 people, as you've heard me say, that have a little trouble with the audio and being able to hear. And in working through all of this with GoToWebinar, I'm pretty much monitored by them, and everything is clear. Like right now on my screen, I can see all these little things going up and down, indicating everything is clear on my end. But one of the students did indicate that they were having a little difficulty, and they checked the speaker output on their computer, and basically that resolved the problem. They had it a couple of times, and that resolved the problem. So I thank Laurie for sending that information in, and if quite possibly that is something that affects you or impacts you, then that may be something that may be an answer. Don't know if it is the answer, but it may be an answer. So let's begin, as we always do, remembering we're in the holy presence of God. Come, Holy Spirit, divine creator, true source of light and fountain of all wisdom, pour forth your brilliance. Grant me a penetrating mind to understand and a retentive memory in learning. Please guide the continuation of my work in Catholic development, direct its progress, and bring it to successful completion this academic year and into the future. This I ask through Jesus Christ, living and reigning with you and the Father forever and ever. Amen. Obviously, the beginning slides you've seen many times, but we always like to put them up there and kind of show us where we've come from. We've covered a lot of material here over these last 6 classes, as you can see. And as we've moved through, these classes have received a lot of information in each of the individual files. I was looking at some of that this past week and receiving a lot of emails from many of you who have indicated that a lot of this is helping you, especially in things such as the top 10 and your wow factor and things of this nature. So just once again, just recapping as we always do, letting you see the lessons and mainly the titles and what we've already covered in class 5. We obviously started with that part 1 of enrollment management, and last class we wrapped that up and moved on into the value of the wow. As you remember, in the last class, in terms of the homework assignment, and with that homework assignment, we got some really outstanding information. I'm going to share some of it with you. You know, I've often thought with last year's class that we did the beta test with about, I don't know, over 100 students, and then all of you guys and what you sent in, wouldn't it be kind of neat to maybe, I don't know, do some kind of ad hoc publication of something where you'd present, you know, 300 or 400 schools and their wow and their top 10. And anyway, I don't know, probably the copyright on that would be a nightmare. But anyway, I was just reading all of this, and I'm just going to start and go through some things. I obviously want to keep the name of the schools, you know, confidential, obviously. But so let's move on through. Here's one. We'll start with this small family-based community. University courses allowing students to get a head start with college credit, family-oriented environment with a 90-year history and tradition. Only Catholic high school in this county, 100% graduation rate. Students learn the value of community involvement through required hours of service. Brand new athletic facility on campus. 7th through 12th grade, which allows for easy transition into high school and mentoring programs. Dedicated in sharing and caring faculty and staff. And number 10, forming leaders from our 4 pillars of faith, character, knowledge, and service. The wow factor is this particular school is having the ability to take, students have the ability to take college courses and start college as a sophomore in high school. And the school has also built a new $2 million athletic facility. So a lot of great things are going on there. Here's one. When I was at my last school, we would have students tour the prospective parents, so they became part of the WOW. The spot we made sure they toured was our science hall. In it, we had our nationally recognized ecology classes, our competitive robotics engineering team, and our outside learning center. It was something that all of the students would experience, so it was important on some level to all who visited. Looked impressive, instructors were very accessible, the students were always engaged, and the student tour guides would always make note of how they knew they would use what they learned in science class one day. This WOW comes from a school. Our WOW is most definitely the Educational Service Program. The program offers assistance and learning styles to assist our young ladies that need guidance and support in the way they learn and take tests. We have over 90 young ladies total in the program. The kindness, compassion, and expectations of the faculty with the attention to the best way to help a student succeed in their education is amazing to observe. The faculty offer creative styles of learning, invest time and energy in each young lady, and make sacrifices of their own time to be at the school early and to stay late. This type of devotion did not go unnoticed when a family made a gift in honor of the founder of the Educational Service Program and during a recent capital campaign. So there's an example of a WOW from a school. Then as we take a look at these top 10 selling points, and this is academically challenging curriculum, community service requirements and focus, diverse student population, caring, accessible staff, Catholic identity, safe, nurturing environment, over 100 years of commitment to the local community, early exposure to foreign language, many athletic programs, multiple extracurricular activities in arts, STEM, and leadership programs. All right, here's another one. High quality academics, small class sizes, STREAM certified, well-educated faculty, the majority of whom possess a master's degree, one-to-one student technology, affordable tuition for a Catholic education, Catholic traditions, Catholic identity, sense of community, safe environment, first Catholic school in the county, fourth generation of families, 91-year-old history, beautiful historic campus in the downtown area, strong athletics for boys and girls, and their WOW is their legacy. As we move on forward, this particular school, I believe our newly renovated middle school is our WOW, with the specialty lighting, brightly colored rooms, breakout areas, and cafe-style eating. Our elementary school is working on a crest brand to make our school more visible, and all signage is being updated. Oh, excellent. Okay. Our biggest wow of the school is that in this state, we are STEM designated, S-T-E-M. We're the only one of 44 schools in this state and the first designated in the county. This certification has been a huge celebration at the school, which has also encouraged us to open up the new opportunities of learning and teaching for our students. In addition to being the only Catholic elementary school in the city and one of the few in the county, the STEM, S-T-E-M certification helps encourage families to consider sending their children to our school. Outstanding. Here is one that was a somewhat common answer, I guess. We currently do not have a WOW, but because of this class, we are working to create one with the help of our faculty, our staff, our students, parents, board members, and alum leaders. And we are beginning to conduct a survey for their input, and we will go from there. I heard not a lot, but probably at least 2 or 3 dozen about that. Okay. Then let's see, grab a couple more here. I mean, they really were just outstanding. Here's one that was really kind of hit home because of having worked with this. This is a school that is called a 100% WOW school. That's the way they title it. Why? Walk into our classrooms and see exactly what students with special needs can do. Our parents will tell you, I didn't know my child could, an ellipsis, operate an iPad, help lead a learning group, attend music classes at the high school next door, attend reading classes at the elementary school, become an acolyte at our church, have a best buddy from the high school next door, learn to cook her own meal in the micro, learn to use grocery ads. Yes, all of this and more is what our school is all about. Come see us and get wowed. Really like that. That is just, really some excellent thought, really went into this. And here's one, and this comes from a diocese. This is a whole diocese, and this particular diocese, their top 10, which I thought, kind of a different approach, because I've read elementary and as well as secondary, and there was one in there that was pre-K through 12. But this diocese, all 42 schools are accredited by either Advanced Ed or the state's Catholic Conference. All the elementary schools use the national standards and benchmarks for effective Catholic elementary schools and secondary schools. We have a rich diversity of students within our system of schools. We are a Catholic faith-filled people. We work to make school affordable for each family. Our elementary and high school students are significantly ahead of their peers academically. Enrollment has increased 9 of the last 10 years, defying the national trends. Our schools sponsor schools in the Dominican Republic, and these schools are also significantly ahead of their peers. We have a safe, secure environment. We're continually pushing the 21st century learning boundary. Our leaders are frequent contributors to national and state conferences. All of our teachers continue to improve their faith knowledge through courses. So we kind of cut this person some slack because she had 12, but that's okay. Listen to this, wow. The President of the United States, the Secretary of Education, our national senators and congressmen and congresswomen, and our state legislators have visited us within the last few years to see examples of how private schools provide great alternatives for underprivileged students. Well, that's some really, really good information. And once again, we could spend a whole class on this, because I received so much just outstanding things, with this. But as we know, we have a lot to cover today. So we heard a lot and got a lot. If you haven't gotten it in yet, then please do so, because obviously it goes into the file, and we do want to thank so many of you that are keeping up with this. Most are, but we do have some that fall behind. But as we know, we're giving folks until the end of December to get it all in order to get the credits. So our focus today is on 2 really, really key topics: the annual fund and the building a win-win culture with your alum base. And because I work in both, co-ed as well as all boys, as well as all girls schools, when I use the word alum or alumni and alumnae, it's kind of interchangeable. So sometimes I'll use one or the other, but obviously please know that I'm not sliding in anything with this. Just once again, showing you that diagram. We're going to jump into this diagram in the next class a little bit more seriously, especially as we talk about creating that strategic written plan for development advancement. But today, last 2 classes we worked on enrollment management. We are going to be in this box, the fund development box, and we're going to pull out of that the annual fund. And then obviously we're going to talk about alumni involvement, and we'll eventually get into fundraising events a little bit, but we've covered that pretty much with that master plan for fundraising. So let's talk about the annual fund, the single most important development dollars process that a Catholic school can embark upon. And why do we say that? Because in many, many cases, the annual fund is the first time when you do it, and many of you have been doing it for years and years and years, but the first time we do it, this is the first time, beside the bake sale, the candy sale, the golf tournament, the raffle sale, the calendar sale, all of those buy-sell ways of thinking, when the annual fund is done correctly, it's the first time that people are being invited to invest in that Catholic school, and they don't get a bar of candy in return. They don't get Christmas wrapping paper in return. They don't get the spring mulch bags in return. They are invited to be a steward. And that's why it's so important, because annual giving leads to capital giving, leads to planned giving, leads to endowed giving, leads to major gift work. So, but the requisites for success is that the annual fund, now it's 3 names are usually used: annual fund, annual appeal, annual giving drive. All three mean the same thing. They're all synonymous to us, okay? But it must be part of the ongoing development system of processes. This is another process in the development system, okay? Specifically stated purposes. Specifically stated purposes. Enhancement of the school's programs. It really needs to enhance the programs. Assignment to a specific time period. Strong case points of where the money is going. Now, this is so important. This past week, I sat in and was asked to be part of a one-on-one visit at a Catholic school with a key donor. And in working with the administrator of this particular school, I was asking, what exactly are you going to ask this donor to do? And the donor had come in as a favor for the administrator. And so the administrator and I met beforehand, and the response was, well, I just need to have him help us. And I said, okay. I said, I get that. I understand that. I said, help you in what way? Well, I mean, he always gives us, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 every year. I want to make sure that he gives me that this year. And so I said, okay. I said, obviously that's important. I said, let's take a look at some things. I said, if you remember over the last number of months, we've been talking about putting together a President's Advisory Council. And this would be a group of maybe 15 or 20 men and women who would not have the time to serve on a board, but they would be very highly influential people. Could be alums, could be parents, could be past parents, could be members of the community, could be grandparents, could be parishioners. And we want to put this group together and basically, meet 3 or 4 times a year, and you can present certain areas, topics, and challenges to them that you really need that outside input. For example, one of those challenges may be with these men and women, how can we better involve the corporate community into this particular school? So I think it would be good, that we listen in the conversation to what this person is interested in, and that we invite him to be part of the President's Advisory Council. So the gentleman came in. I was part of the conversation. I'd met him prior, and I was part of the conversation. And as we sat down to discuss things, he began to talk about what his corporation does. He's a parent. He was a parent. His child was a senior in high school. And he began to talk about the things that they supported and how they were really big into supporting underprivileged children and things of this nature. And so it became real clear that we were looking at a number of different things that were part of the annual appeal. And so we have this this particular program that really is a tuition assistance program. And so, we make a long story short, we invited this gentleman to serve on the President's Advisory Council, shared with him what that was going to do. We also invited him to bring someone to recommend 1 or 2 people, maybe not even directly related to this school, who could serve on the President's Advisory Council, because this gentleman was very well connected in the community. And number 2, we asked him if he would be willing, as a company, to set up a plan over the next 5 to 10 years where he and his company would be able to take responsibility for anywhere between 20 and 25 students in terms of tuition assistance. That we did not mean pay the full tuition, but we meant that we would present the data and the information and what the needs were. Sometimes the tuition is $9,000. Sometimes that parent was capable of paying 3 or 4 and would be looking at being able to take up more than that. And he said, we will be more than happy to look at all of that, and we certainly will participate, and I see us being able to help at least 10 or 15 students every year. So why do I bring this story up? I bring the story up because if you look on the screen, you will see that second one, specifically stated purposes, enhancement of the school's programs, assignment to a specific period of time, strong case points of where the money's going. But notice that we were not just interested in this gentleman's money. We wanted his wisdom. We wanted his expertise. We wanted his connections. We wanted his relationships. And he was very willing to do that. I wanted to share that with you because I think that becomes so important. Because we look at the annual fund, usually there's 4 different kinds of annual funds. I'm just going to call them A, B, C, and D. A is the direct mail appeal sent out to everyone in the database, very generic and mass produced. B, The same direct mail appeal, but this is followed by some kind of phone outreach, usually done internally. C, besides what is in A and B, this annual fund adds a key component, and that's the major gift division. In this annual fund, anyone who's capable of considering a gift of $1,000 plus is invited personally through one-on-one visits and or a major gift reception. And then D is what we have presented at NCA and many other places, what we call the world-class annual fund. This one has all of the above components, yet the emphasis is on people. Now, if you're not into the annual fund, the annual appeal, the annual giving drive, you haven't launched it yet, or all you're doing is direct mail, what I'm going to talk about for the next 10 minutes, may seem like it's a foreign language. Believe me, you can get there. You definitely can get there. And just because you're in elementary school or pre-K through 12, you can get there. It's going to take some time. I know many elementary schools that have the following structure that I'm going to talk about in place. Many more high schools do have the structure in place, but I think it's very important that we realize that as we move this on down the road, it's going to be important that you kind of take a look and say, hey, this is probably where we want to go. May take us 3 years, 4 years, 5 years to get it in place, but this is where we want to go. So here's the concept chart, is that you have, and I'm going to use the language we like. So this is in the perfect world. The perfect world with a world-class annual fund. I'm going to have one annual fund chair couple who served as the chairs and another annual fund chair couple who served as the associate chairs. Why do I say couple? I say couple because when one of the spouses is unable to be at a meeting or able to attend an event, hopefully the other will be able to be there. I have a major gift division. These are people that could possibly consider, notice my language, possibly consider a gift of $1,000 every year, to the annual appeal. Whether or not they will, I don't know, but they could possibly consider $100 a month for 10 months to that Catholic school. Leadership division has nothing to do with money. It's all about the faculty and staff and the board being invited to participate. I'll get to the faculty staff piece in just a minute because, yes, we want to invite them to participate. I have the parent gift division. I have the parishioner gift division, if applicable. I have the student gift division, if applicable, and we'll talk about that. I have the alumni gift division, the friends gift division, which is past parents and grandparents, maternal. I've got the business community gift division. With the business community gift division, I have all kinds of things that I can do with that, obviously. And I don't want to step on the toes of any special event fundraising, okay? So we have to be very, very careful about that business community division. So let's kind of dive on down. And I'm not going to read this to you because you're going to get all this, but you'll notice how I've broken down the different divisions and the basic high level of what they're doing. In the major gift division, I want 2 chair couples. In the leadership gift division, I want a board member and I want a faculty member. In the parent gift division, I want 2 chair couples. In the parishioner gift division, if applicable, I want 2 chair couples. If the chair couple piece doesn't work for you, I fully understand. But please understand the only rationale for that is, when one spouse cannot make it. So notice in the major gift division, we're going to classify prospects from all of the different divisions. And if we go back to the chart, starting with the major gift division on the left, that trumps every other division. So if I've got an alum who could be considered a possible major donor, then we're going to move them out of the alum division into the major gift division. If I have a parent who, same way, put them in the major division. So keep that in mind. The major gift division is the trumps everything very definitely. So I've got the major gift division. I've got usually a team or a committee that we work with in the annual appeal. We give the name Blue Ribbon Committee. You can call them anything you want. Usually there's a kickoff reception. I've got personal visits built in. I've got receptions. I've got out of town, which is usually a direct kind of mail. But once again, making sure you follow up with a personal phone call. Then you've got the leadership gift division. That's the faculty and staff. Notice number 5. We're going to go into this later, but I'm inviting 3 gifts in my annual appeal, my annual fund. I'm inviting the gift of prayer. I'm inviting the gift of service. And I'm inviting, obviously, the gift of finance. So the faculty members who basically are thinking to themselves, I'm overworked, I'm underpaid, once again, you can certainly consider the gift of prayer. And you should have a prayer card in your annual fund packet that people can give the gift of prayer. And you should have a list of the things that people could give in terms of service, where they can check off those things they would like to do. Okay? So then I've got the parent gift division. I've got grade level chairs and class captains. I got organizational meetings to hand out the packets. I've got a kickoff event, maybe a parent-to-parent Sunday, maybe a parent event already on your calendar, but I want to distribute the packets, and I want to make sure every parent family is accounted for. This is not necessarily one-on-one meetings or home receptions or anything like that. With the parent annual giving, I want to make sure every parent has received a packet and someone's calling them, encouraging them to get their intention card in. We want 100% participation. And yes, Ms. Johnson, we're inviting you to consider the gift of prayer and the gift of service and the gift of finance. But fine, Mr. Donaldson, I understand that, but really things are tight. We're on tuition. I understand, Ms. Johnson, once again, please, we're asking once again, if the financial piece is a piece that you cannot take a look at right now, please consider that gift of prayer, or quite possibly that gift of service. We want your participation. We want you to become involved. Go back to the first class, folks. Belonging leads to believing. Okay? The parishioner division, if applicable, can be done during Catholic Schools Week in January. Then we've got the student division, if applicable. That's optional. I have a number of Catholic schools where the students would do like a walkathon, a bikeathon, a runathon, a washathon, or whatever, and they do that, and the money goes to the students division of the annual fund. I've got the alumni division, and that is with decade chairs, class reps, visits in personal visits in the area, reception approach, out-of-town receptions, direct mail with follow-up phone call. I've got all this going with my alums. It takes a while to develop this, as we know. That little box right here can take a number of years. I got the friends, which is grandparents and past parents and friends. That's usually a direct mail with a follow-up. And once again, that is a division with 2 chairs. Business community can kick off during Catholic Schools Week. I'm looking at my vendors, my area businesses, my parent, parishioner, and alum-owned businesses. So these are the process in a way. And here, if we use this, because I wanted to give you some detail here. If we use this structure, whether it's this year or in 5 years from now, let me walk you through how this works. So follow me here. You'll have it on the PowerPoint. You'll have it on the YouTube recording. But follow me here. Okay. Here's the calendar of when all this takes place. Okay. So by June 30th, okay, I will have completed my 17-18 annual fund evaluation. I will have my annual fund shares in place for 18-19. I will have my major gift chairs in place for 18-19. By July 31st, I will have completed my case points of where the money is going. I will have created my annual fund theme. Okay, the one that we're kind of working with this year is the theme we're using is March on Excellence. Okay. By July 30th, also, I want to have my major gift division prospects in place. In other words, I want to have my database straight so I know who those people would be that could consider $1,000 or more. That may be 5 people, that may be 500. It depends upon your situation. I want to have conducted my database assessment, making sure I've cleaned that up as much as possible from 17-18. I want to establish my timeline and meeting dates with my leadership. By August 31st, I want to have all my division leaders in place. In other words, I want to have those division leaders of these divisions. I want to have, I've already got my major gift chairs. I want my 2 leadership chairs from faculty and board. I want my 2 parent chair couples, if applicable, my 2 parishioner chair couples. If I have students, basically that's going to usually be run, through student council. With my alums, I've got my 2 chairs, friends, I've got my 2 chairs, business community, got my 2 chairs. So that's what I mean when I say here that I've got all division leaders in place by August 31st, and I have created my campaign materials. Now, I'm going to send you a whole bunch of resources with this class. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But a couple of those resources are going to be sample brochures. So with the annual fund packet, we like to see the letter, which invites. We'd like to see an annual fund brochure. We'd like to see an intention card and return envelope, and we'd like to see a prayer card. That's what we'd like to see in the annual fund packet. That's the packet of information, okay? By August 31st also, This is in the perfect world now. This is the world-class annual appeal. In the perfect world, I will have sent out by August 31st the annual report for 17-18 that lists what we did. I will have discussed the annual fund with my internal groups, in other words, with my board, with my parent leaders, with my faculty and staff. If you're doing an appreciation dinner, that may be something that you may do with some donors or key donors. You will have done that, and you will have conducted your first cabinet meeting. The cabinet meeting is all of these people here: your annual fund chairs plus your chairs of the divisions. That's your annual fund cabinet. Okay. By September 15th, I want to organize my major gift reception, where I'm going to invite everyone from the major gift division. By September 15th, I want my blue ribbon committee in place. That's the team working with the major gift division, if that is applicable. Okay. By September 30th, I will have conducted my major gift reception. I will have invited my faculty, staff, and board. I will have my division volunteers in place, mainly the parent division and alumni division, and I'm going to create a little one-page electronic annual fund newsletter that kind of sends that out to everybody and lets them know what the annual fund is. It lets them know who the chairs are this year, who the division chairs are this year, where the money's going this year, what the timeline is this year. So I've done that by September 30th. Keep in mind, so you don't either A, disconnect on this class, or else go into a panic attack. This is the perfect scenario. This is in the perfect world. This is what we call the world-class annual fund. This is where either some of you are right now, or all of you will be within the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. I know you can do this. I've seen it happen so many times over and over again. But you got to, let's show you the vision first. And that's what I'm showing you right now. Here's the vision. Here's where we want to get to. This is what we're going to work toward, okay? And as I know, some of you are already here. Okay, by October 30th, I want to follow up on my major gift reception of the people who attended. I want to begin training my parent groups. I want to organize my parent events. Now, all the parent piece is this. I want to have some kind of parent reception or receptions at the school. Why? I want to hand out the packets. I want to hand out the packets and tell them what what it is that's being supported. That basically is what I want to do. Remember we talked about the gap last time, and I can show them things like that. All right. This is not an ask for money. This is simply handing out the packets, and the parent volunteers who work with me on the annual appeal and the annual fund, they're following up and making sure everybody gets their intention card in. Notice I don't use pledge card. I don't like the word pledge card. I like the word intention. I like to see what someone's intention is. Like in a capital campaigns, I like to use the word LOI, letter of intent. In the annual appeal, I like to use intention card. Okay. By November 30th, I've conducted that parent event or events. I've given out the packets. We've done the parent outreach, phone outreach. I've organized any training so we can just let people know what to say when they get somebody on the phone. Okay. By November 30th, I've conducted that. I've done the training, done the outreach, and I've got my newsletter number 2. The newsletter number 2 is going out. But in January to June now, okay, I definitely am going to continue with organizational meetings. Oh, by the way, on November 30th, okay, there's one thing that I missed. I see that right now. Make sure you send out your end of the year letter, and that is inviting people to give. And they may want to have a tax break at the end of 2017. And I think I've sent y'all a copy of one. If not, it's in the resource material that I'm sending out right now. It's a sample letter. Okay. So January to June, I'm going to continue with my organizational meetings. I'm going to continue as I move on my alumni division, as I move on my friend division, as I move on my business community division. I'm going to keep on meeting and training people. I'm going to keep up with my internal updates. I'm going to keep on making personal visits in those major gift divisions. I'm going to continue tracking how things are coming in, and we're going to make sure that we launch major leadership and parent. That's all launched before the end of the calendar year, and I'm going to focus on alumni and friend and business community in January and February. And I'm going to keep on moving forward. Maybe in April, May, and June, I'm going to have some kind of theme like crossing the finish line or whatever that full steam ahead or something like that creates a final push. Maybe doing some phone outreach efforts, possibly considering maybe some challenge gifts where one class can challenge another with alums, or one class can challenge another, or maybe I've got 2 or 3 donors that will put up, to combine maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 donors who will put up 10,000, and we let all parents know that, hey, if every parent sends in his or her or their intention card, we have several donors who are going to give $10,000 more to the annual fund. In other words, I'm going to do everything I can. So this is a sample timeline. Probably for many people, when I show them this, the biggest shock that is here is that, wait a minute, I thought I just sent out a letter in the fall and that was it. No, in our mind, because the annual fund is so important, this is a year-round effort. The annual fund begins on July 1 and it ends on June 30th. And there should be things throughout the year. You want to spread your people base. Obviously, you don't want to do this without good development efforts being in place. That's why this all takes time. That's why it's so important, to put all this together. And this is a sample timeline of the perfect world scenario of what you would want to do. So here's some pointers. Get your strong leadership. Educate people on the annual fund. Make sure your communication, that's why I like the annual fund newsletter, 2 or 3 of them a year. Involve your faculty and staff. Can't give money, fine, give the gift of prayer. They're already given the gift of service. Get your class agents and alumni. Take a look at the geography. Maybe you can do some things in that arena with certain alums in certain states, and that's primarily on the high school level. Utilize a theme that you can rally that around. Make sure you've got your recognition and appreciation. Make sure you've got a major gift division. I think I've told you the story of Bishop Carroll High School in the Diocese of Wichita. One of our first clients over 25 years ago, and we went in, we did an assessment. Their annual fund was I think $7,000, and they did all it was direct mail. And the main thing we changed was we added a major gift division, and we invited the president and the principal to start making one-on-one gift calls and that annual fund. And I'm only talking about money right now. Okay, money right now, but because so many people were excited about that school, the second year they increased their donor base, and the reason I remember the figure is but they went from 7,000 to 107,000, all because of the major gift division. So advance people-to-people efforts, that's what we mean. Illustration, celebration of success, just the ways to grow it. Now, some tenets for success. Just remember some things. These are just things we want to throw out at you. People give to people, and they invest in institutions with vibrant missions and a really dynamic vision. Next one, people don't give unless they're invited. And the best response comes when people are invited eyeball to eyeball. Invite people to invest. Don't just cut a check. Cut a check means, you're just going to cut a check for $10. Those who have been invited are kept informed or involved. They're the main ones who's going to continue to support. That's that belonging leads to believing. The real key here is to try to move people to that invest part. However, notice that next sentence. This is not going to happen without the first 5 being successful. Identify, inform, invite, involve. And they're going to help you implement things too. Become involved. Donors want to give to something that's a cause or a movement. And number 9, never say no for anyone. Many, many people will surprise you. When the right person at the right time and place invites the donor to participate in the right cause with a compelling mission, success usually follows. Last night I was involved in a phone outreach and a phone-a-thon. And in this particular phone-a-thon, this is a school that has somewhat decent phone numbers on 7,000 graduates. And so we use students. We use this a high school, so we use National Honor Society students. We had 20 phones set up in the Assembly Center. And we went through over 750 calls. And interestingly, great response from this alum base. And really interestingly, we have bells that go off when students get gifts or positive responses. So all 20 people had bells, little bells to ring. And the bells were going off all on. And so this one particular caller, she's a senior, she said, listen, someone, an alum asked her, she said, what are those bells going off? And the senior said, well, whenever we have someone who gives us a positive response this year to our alumni outreach, then we ring a bell. And, oh, really? And so, you know what I'm going to do? And the girl's name was Barbara. So you know what I'm going to do, Barbara? I have so enjoyed my conversation with you. I'm going to give you my credit card right now. And in the past, I've always made a $50, $75 gift to this every year. This year, because of our conversation, I'm going to go ahead and give you my credit card and all that information. So please write it down, and I'd like you to put me down for $500. Well, the girl she hung up the phone and started screaming. So the whole idea being, that as we look at this and move forward with this, people don't do anything unless you invite them. Okay? All right. So in terms of this, we have some questions. I see the questions on the screen. I'll definitely get to them by the end. So those are just some tenets for success that we see. Once again, those 3 gifts, please look at that. Okay? Very important that you look at that. Okay? So in the book, you'll notice, invite the 3 gifts, just repeating here, eyeball to eyeball, recognizing, making sure it's part of the system, create the divisional structure, implement that major gift division. So really, now I'm going to be sending you a bunch of stuff on the annual fund by way of resource material. In fact, one of the things I'm sending you is a 20-page outline of this process. All you need to do is, it's like a worksheet, a 20-page worksheet for you to put in place in terms of setting up this kind of structure. And it's step by step by step by step. I'm going to be sending you that along with this class. Okay, we have about 20 minutes, so let's jump into the alum piece. The alum piece is, whether you're elementary school or whether you're secondary school or whether you're pre-K through 12, the alum piece is just so important. Like I said, I was involved in an alumni phone-a-thon last night, and really exciting. Really was. It's a numbers game in many cases. We realize that, but it was really. I like student callers. I like alums to call too, but I really like student callers. When I was a development director at Mercy Academy back in the 80s, I used students to call and found them to be very effective. They have to be trained. They have to do role playing. They've got to be going through. So I usually put them, like the girls who called last night, I went ahead and worked with them for probably about 2 or 3 hours before we even did it. Not the same day, but I did it a couple of weeks ago when I was there, and just really like that. I think they can be done, and I know that there are middle school students that can do the same thing. I've seen that happen. So don't eliminate that. Okay. So the big key is, where is the win-win? Why should that alum, just because he or she or they has some financial wherewithal, why should that alum give back to you? And how much do you know about them? And that's that 3rd bullet point, the importance of that database. If you remember, one of the boxes in our organizational chart is, constituent records and relations. That is so very important. We find that successful alumni efforts, there's some type of organizational committee, whether it's an alum board, whether it's alum committee, alum team, alum, whatever you may want to call it. But this is not a reunion thing here. I'm talking about for all alums, there's some kind of organizational committee that works with the school. The database is key. There is regular, consistent alumni communication that goes out, and you try to get 7 touches a year in some kind of way. There is the alumni event, which in many cases is a homecoming that can be done on both the secondary as well as the elementary school level. In many cases, there is an alumni association of some kind that people can join and belong to and be part of. There are social activities that are set up on the calendar, and this is usually done with that alumni association and the organizational committee indicating the kinds of things they would like to do. There's a reunion piece that happens. If it's for high schools, obviously it's every 5 years. If it's elementary schools, then maybe you can do it every 5 years where you bring in 5 classes together, or maybe you're doing it by decades. There's class agents in place. You're gathering email addresses. You're gathering cell phone numbers. And obviously, as we'll see in the next class, the social media piece. All of these are the components of a successful alumni effort. Okay? Notice the last 2, the second to the last and the one above it, those 2 bullet points. Email addresses and cell phone numbers. If I was an alumni director today, or if I was an advancement director today, or if I was a principal of an elementary school today, or if I was a volunteer working with marketing in an elementary school today, I guarantee you one of my major thrusts would be to every turn in the road to get email addresses and cell phone numbers of everybody, especially the alums, because you know exactly what you can do with that information. One of the things that I'm sending you a lot of information on is what we call alumni informational gathering sessions. This is when you're going to take it class by class if you're a high school, or maybe 2 classes at a time if you're a high school, and maybe 2, 3, or 4 classes at a time if you're in elementary school. But you're going to invite some class representatives to come to the school so you can gather information about alums in that class or those classes. The whole idea behind it, I will send you a sample letter of what to say when you invite them. The primary premise here is we've lost track of a lot of our alums. We don't know of many accomplishments of many of our alums who have gone on to become successful, whether it's elementary school or secondary school. And we want to gather more information so we can tell the world about the success our alums have had. I'm going to send you an agenda for this session, and I'm going to send you the form for the people who show up to go through this informational gathering process. It is, and we'll look at the value here in just a minute, but super important, really is. It allows you to determine involvement and in some cases, giving levels. Now, this is something you will have to call. I would say 10 to 15% of the schools that we've worked with do the giving level piece. And I'll explain what that is. There's no discussion or anything, but you'll see what I mean, so don't get nervous about it. But it's an excellent way to know your alum base, and it's done through peer-to-peer. And it seeks really to identify individuals and families capable of sharing their gifts. And those gifts could or could not be financial, plus making a judgment regarding their feelings and relationships to the school. How does it work? Class by class, or maybe 2 or 3 classes at a time, there's an invitation that goes out to 20, 25 class leaders who live in the geographic vicinity of the school. And that will get you the 8 or 12 that will actually show up. Breakfast meeting, luncheon meeting, coffee meeting. It's 60 minutes. It follows an agenda, and you're going to make sure your class lists are handed out with name and if there's, maiden name, whatever, and married name and address, phone number, whatever information you have. Obviously, no confidential information reported, like if they gave or give or what they give, and nothing like that. It's just a class list. A facilitator and a scribe are going to be needed, okay? And this can come from the development. And of course, as you can tell, this is a wonderful exercise for what group of people? You're right, the core team, okay? So president, principal, pastor, whatever your structure, they would welcome everyone, turn it over to the facilitator. And so if I'm the facilitator, which I would not be, but if I was your facilitator and I'm one of your core team members, I'm going to hand out the list, or if I'm the advancement director, or if I'm the alumni director, or if I'm the marketing director, or if I'm the volunteer development director, or if I'm the part-time development director, or whatever, I'm going to hand the list out. So everybody around the table, these 8 people around the table are going to take a look at the people that are in the class. And let's say we have 70 people in the class that graduated from our class. It may be more, maybe less. Let's say we have 70. So I'm going to go in groups of 5 or 10, and so I'm going to ask them to look at these names. They're all going to be in alphabetical order, and we're going to ask them to provide any anecdotal information that they would deem relevant, okay? Financial wherewithal is never discussed, okay? So here's what the facilitator says. Let's look at the first 10 names, or 5, whatever works. Simply take several minutes, look at the name, the address, the location, then we're going to open the floor for informal discussion. And as we view these first names, is there anything you could think of we should know? A new baby, a new job, sold a business, just got another degree, recently got married, just moved back into the area, etc. All right? There's the value of the scribe, okay? In the beginning, the conversation is slow. Once they catch on, it moves really well. Scribe must take really good notes, capture as much of information as possible, okay? And once you've moved through all of them, Go back, though, and give them some time, because oftentimes, now that they know what's expected, that first round of names, they're more willing to give input because they didn't know what you really wanted. But after you get 5 or 10 minutes into the discussion, it becomes good. Then sometimes, this depends upon you. This depends upon your culture. This depends upon the class. This depends. I remember doing this at a high school 10 or 15 years ago, and we were meeting with one class, the class from the 70s, whatever. And they kept saying, listen, we need to do some ranking financially. And we did it. Wasn't part of the agenda. This is a private confidential rating, used sparingly only with the right group. After the conversation in which you've gotten anecdotal information, everyone, now notice these words, invite everyone to quietly, confidentially, with no discussion, go through the names and offer the following. If they think that alum could consider a $1,000 gift to the annual fund every year, put an A by their name. Could give $250 to $1,000, a B. $100 to $250, a C. Okay? Don't know anyone. It can only rate 2 or 3 people. That's perfectly normal. You'll have people who will say, I don't know any of this information about these people. That's fine. Don't do anything. Right? So then we go to, in terms of involvement, put a 1 if they would definitely get involved. We just need to invite them. Number 2, could they possibly get involved but not sure? Go ahead and invite them. 3, would not get involved, would be a waste of time. You can do this one right here without doing this one. Okay? You can do this one without doing the financial one. Definitely do this one. Okay? If you did both, then obviously you're going to look at the A1s and say, my goodness, look what we got. We need to make sure that we engage and reach out and have a conversation. Not go ask for money, just we need to make sure that. There's an individual form that I'll send you, and you invite the people present to fill in the form. And once again, ask for their involvement. Maybe there are things that are coming up in the future that they then are going to, they can get involved with and help you with, and you certainly want to ask them to do so. Okay? What are the takeaways? Well, you got the scribe notes. You got the ranking and rating data sheets from everyone present, financial information, possibly, definitely involvement information. You've got the individual form that each of the people present fills in. So in a class, and I'm just using round numbers here because I was an English teacher. In a class of 100, you should receive information of some kind on 30 or 40 people, plus specific information from the people present. Okay? If you have a class of 100 plus graduates and you have 25 or more classes to go through, you'll receive information on close to 750 to 1,000 alums that you do not have right now. You're guaranteed information on over 200 alums, and those are the people who are sitting at the table doing this process. So with 25 or more classes, you're going to have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people at the table. They're going to fill in their form. You've plugged in these alums. This process takes time. Usually takes a year or more to do. I guarantee the takeaways are unbelievable. And once it goes back to that old belonging leads to believing. Okay? So as we move now into the last 6 or 7 minutes, I want to throw some alum suggestions at you. Many of them, some of you I'm going to go pretty quick. You'll get the PowerPoint, you'll get the recording. This is like 20, 30, 40 different things you could do with your alums, whether you're secondary or elementary. Career day, many of you do that. Alum form for enrollment suggestions. Are you sending your alums an enrollment suggestion form where they could recommend families and people for you to send recruitment packages to? Some schools do homecoming by decades, great for elementary schools. What about homecoming where you're honoring former teachers? That could be done with elementary as well as secondary. What if you did a PR phone-a-thon where you simply are going to seek email addresses and so you can text email addresses and phone numbers so you can text. Interactive website, are you doing that? Are you having alums be able to communicate with you via your web page? Obviously, we're going to talk about this at the next class with the use of social media. What about a publication of pictures of then and now? Really always funny, but always interesting. Alum shadow program, especially for high schools, where your students can go shadow an alum in the community. Out of town, out of state alumni gatherings, reunion planning before graduation. If you have a graduating 12th graders, obviously many of you are, or you're graduating 7th graders or 8th graders in the elementary school and they go on to secondary school, why don't you have the graduates, before they graduate, plan a reunion for the next year and then their 5-year reunion? In other words, let them elect class officers. If I'm a 12th grader, before graduation, I want to elect my class officers, and I want to plan a reunion, quite possibly around the Christmas holidays in 2018, and then plan my 5-year reunion, begin to talk about that. Do that before they graduate. Maybe graduating classes to a Christmas luncheon. Second home with an alum, with those alums that go to colleges and universities out of state, and you've got some outstanding alums living in that area. Alumni Development Advisory Board, we're going to talk about that at the next session. This is where you're going to get your alums involved in helping you create that written strategic plan for development. Your alumni ambassadors who could help you, and you're going to see this on a slide later on, where they could help you at open house. Do you have an alumni area at open house? What about Christmas with St. Nick, where you invite all your alums to come back with their kids, and you've got St. Nick there dressed up. You got all kind of things going on with that. A development core team. Alums need to be part of that core team. The Development Advisory Board, we'll talk about that at the next meeting. This is when you've got that group of 60 or 70 you're going to bring in for 3 or 4 workshops. Surveys and questionnaires. Are you inviting your alums to do that with the ultimate question primarily? Input sessions, planning convocations and congresses within your strategic planning efforts. Ambassador teams, publication evaluation committee. You know, you have some of your alums who are PR people, marketing people, just communication experts, journalism, etc. Bring 5, 6, 7, 8 of them in one evening. Give them pizza and beer or whatever. Put all your publications that you do out on a table and have them take a look at all of them and offer advice. Put your website up on the screen and go through it. Have them offer their input. They'd love to do that. I've seen this done so many times, and they love it. And you can get some really great suggestions. You know, your marketing committee. I talked about that president's cabinet where we invited that particular donor to be part of that cabinet. I've sent you information about that early on. They could be part of a mission, vision, case statement committee. You could go have a one-on-one cup of coffee with them just to seek their input on alum activities or events. They could be part of the chairs or decade chairs for the annual fund division of the annual fund. They could be part of a steering committee for a capital campaign. They could be involved with your alumni, obviously informational gathering sessions, ways to invite and involve. They could be part of a plan giving committee. They could help organize home receptions out of state. They could serve on your board. As we said, they could be part of open house. The keys to success always are going to be that the school needs to be in the driver's seat. Okay? I do not agree with those schools that let the alums do everything, and the school's not involved. I think the school needs to be a wonderful resource. I think the school needs to help organize. I think the school needs to work hand in hand in terms of cleaning up the database. I think the school needs to make their facilities available. I think the school needs to go to those organizational meetings and help and be a resource as much as they possibly can, but we think the school needs to be in the driver's seat. Obviously, there is an appoint person. There has to be a point person. If you've got an alum director, that's wonderful. You've got to have good data. You've got to have a strategic plan of action that we're going to talk about at the next class. You've got to have ways to involve alums. You've got to position everything from the standpoint of why should that alum get involved with you? Why? And once again, you've got to make sure that you build in ways for that alum to see himself or herself as a steward of your Catholic school. That's all proactive thinking rather than reactive thinking, okay? So just to wrap up here in the last few minutes, don't forget, the annual fund is the single most important development dollars effort your Catholic school could ever do, so please do it well. Encourage 3 gifts in the annual fund: prayer, service, and finance. Build your alum efforts around win-win. What's in it for them? And move forward with those informational gathering sessions. And so as we move from class 7 to class 8, here's your homework. Please make one of the 2 selections. Please explain how your annual fund, appeal, drive is organized and what processes you implemented in order to invite the gifts, okay? Or Please explain how you will implement your first annual fund organization and processes. And I'd like for you to write a 1 to 3 paragraph document that explains your alumni events, activities, processes, and communication tools. Doesn't have to be long, just would like to see what you're doing with that alumni piece or alumni piece. All right, here's what I'm going to send you. I'm going to send you some sample annual fund brochures, 2 of them from a high school, 1 of them from an elementary. I'm going to send you a sample annual fund intention card. Notice I didn't say pledge card. I'm going to send you a end of the year annual fund newsletter that provides a checklist for you to check how your annual fund's doing at the end of 2017. I'm going to send you the 20-page annual fund organizational booklet. Okay, and I'm going to send you all that information I talked about in the alumni informational gathering sessions materials. The explanation of the process, that's a 2 or 3 page document, the letter of invitation, which is a sample, an agenda of the session, and the attendee form. I'm going to send all of that to you as we take a look at this. Within the next few days, you'll receive the PDF of this PowerPoint and this presentation, the YouTube video link for Class 7, the supplementary materials that I mentioned in the previous slide, the link for Class 8, which is going to be on Thursday, November 30th, a reminder of your homework, which is on slide 56. And once again, as we always say, you know, please have your assignment in, and of course, that date is incorrect. That is going to be 2 days before, so we're going to have your homework in for November 28th. I'll change that in the PowerPoint that I send you. So our next class, we're going to look at social media, creating a culture of giving, and creating the written strategic plan for development. I referred to that about 6 times during this class. I know this was a longer than usual class, but I find that annual fund and alumni are so very important. So we're going to take a look at a few questions, so hang on if you can. If you have to, fine, I understand it, but try to hang on for 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to try to answer some questions, and there'll be a short survey that pops up. By the way, the workbook was released by NCA yesterday, so you can order the workbook. I went ahead and sent you a link to that, and you can do that. And there's some other questions. Should be the advancement director, if part of the school administration, be included with the principal in major donor meetings? I say yes, depending on, you know, the camaraderie between the advancement director and the principal. And I think it's a very good combination. Our elementary school parents do not want to be called this. Be called, is this normal for this age group? It is so normal in the high school setting. Well, I've never encountered that. I always do call, and maybe you might want to start calling them and having that call do absolutely nothing with money. Maybe inviting them to the Christmas play this year, or have your board calling them and saying, "Hi, Ms. Johnson, this is Frank Donaldson. I'm a member of the board here at Our Lady of Lourdes, and our principal and pastor wanted me to call and just say hi, introduce myself, and how's the school year going for you?" Maybe it's that kind of call that'll kind of get them warmed up a little bit to a phone call. How can we get the workbook? I sent you the workbook link yesterday in an email. Does it have sample surveys? Yes, it does. Does it have alum forms? Yes, it does. Have you finalized the dates for the summer program at the University of Dayton? I'm meeting with Sister Angela on December 1st, and we're going to get that out within the first week. If you could send me the materials as soon as possible. I'll tell you what I'll do. These are really good materials. When I hang up, I'm going to send you that in the PowerPoint within the next 15 minutes, okay? When do I suggest the phone-a-thon be done phone-a-thon for information be done? Well, I don't fully understand the question, so shoot me an email, Deborah. I mean, when something goes out in the mail, I like to call within a week or 10 days. So that's what I like to do. So anyway, hey, this was a lot of information. Hopefully this has been beneficial. And as I hang up, just want to let you know that from all of us here, do want to wish you all a wonderful Thanksgiving. This has been a wonderful class to work with. I really appreciate so many of you that are with your comments, with the information that you share with us, with the keeping up of the homework, with the questions that you ask, with the referrals that you make. just really thank you so much. It really is moving along well, and would like to let you know that we already have over 100 people signed up for the spring class, and we're going to cut it off. We're going to have a cutoff point. So if you know of anybody that you'd like to recommend, please make sure they get that in as soon as we possibly can. So, and we are definitely going to be doing the one this summer at UD on campus. And those of you going to the NCA convention in Cincinnati, we are going to have a reception. I'm going to try to send all that out in December. But I'm meeting with Sister Angela at UD on December 1st, and we're going to finalize some dates at that time. It probably would be a 3 or 4 day workshop on the campus. You'll have to provide your own housing and transportation, obviously, but we're going to use the UD campus, and that way we'll be able to delve further into many of the topics. I've identified 6 of them that I'd really like to delve into much more deeply. And we will be, we're doing a bunch of things. But anyway, I'll tell you about that later. Y'all have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you so much, and hope this has been beneficial.